Welcome to our mantra breathing today, and the theme of this talk is the teachings of Babaji. And this is significant because we're here in Colorado at his ashram, and we're in the middle of the Divine Mother Festival. They call it the Navratri in India, and it's 9 days and 9 nights of worship to the Divine Mother. And so what better time should we talk about Babaji's teachings than this time? So I'm going to put you in touch with Sandra, and she's going to talk a little bit about that, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about that.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, we want to send you all the energy from here. We have Chandan on our forehead. They put early in the morning to cool down the mind and open your chakras. Okay, so having a spiritual master is a real benefit. First of all, it's a great gift of life, and it leads to satisfaction complete. The master, in this case Babaji, he changes the literal physics of your existence at the level of mind and the level of body and the level of light. So you're very fortunate to find this kind of teacher. And you guys are already in his vibration by being in breath work, because he downloaded rebirthing to linear ore, so it came from Babaji. And Babaji said, rebirthing is the new Kriya Yoga. So you already are connected to Babaji, so I recommend you take advantage of this relationship. It's a direct channel to God and the Divine Mother. And it's a leap in your evolution, and it changes your nervous system and the chemistry of your body and the actual functioning of your brain. The grace of the perfect master is essential to make one realize your unity with the infinite in this life. And in India, it's taken for granted that if someone wishes to advance on the spiritual path, the guru is necessary. So the guru's love will actually intoxicate you. Slowly, your love becomes so intense that you want to just serve the master. And then you're in what we call the promised land. Of course, worship is the highest non-judgmental form of love. And so all these mantras are worship to Babaji and the Divine Mother, the mantras that we play while you breathe. So when you're in the space of worship, it's a very high frequency. That's why Babaji said, if you come weekly to mantra breathing, bad energy cannot stick with you because you're cleansing yourself every week. So anyway, Babaji is known as the angel of the Lord in the Bible. He maintained a physical body over 9,000 years. And the reason he's the guru of the gurus is because he was not born of a woman. He actually materialized his body directly from the Divine Mother energy. 500 years ago, he was known as Lama Baba in Tibet, and that's when Marcus and I knew him. We were told we used to guard his cave. So that's our past lives with Babaji. He was actually a teacher of Jesus, and he did Jesus' head shaving. And this we know is a fact, and of course, they wouldn't lie to us about that. Between 1800 and 1922, he had a previous manifestation called Old Harakan Baba. He could raise the dead, he could fly, he could sit in fires and not burn, he could bilocate, and he could materialize and dematerialize. Okay, so between 1922 and 1970, he appeared to a little boy named Mahendra. He just materialized his body in this little boy's room. Now imagine if you're 6 years old and suddenly a master materializes his body in front of you without walking through the door. You'd be pretty shocked. Then Babaji materialized candy for him. And of course, he couldn't think about anything else for years. And when he got older, he decided, I'm going to find that guru again. He started walking around India. And he walked around for years and he never found him. So then he got fed up and he went in his room and he said, I am not coming out of this room till you come back to me. So Babaji did reappear to Mahendra and said, what is it you want? So Mahendra said, you have to come back here and stay. We need help here. So Babaji said, okay, you repair all the temples and I'll come back in 1970, which is what he did. In 1970, he materialized his body in a cave in Harakan, which we can take you to. Some of you have been there. And it's really special to go in Babaji's cave. And he came out and he looked kind of like a wild rock star. He climbed the mountain, Mount Kailash, on top of the cave, and he sat up there for 40 days and 40 nights without eating or sleeping or even drinking water. He had to keep his eyes closed because he was such pure spirit. People would pass out if he opened his eyes. They would just faint. So for 45 days and nights, he sat in meditation and he would just raise his hand and bless people. Now, those people at that time were mostly Indian devotees from former lives. So I asked them what that was like. And he said they had constant visions of their past lives and their future. Okay, this all happened in a village called Harakan, which is Babaji's home, where we go in spring Navaratri. You may have heard of Babaji. He was first introduced to the Western world in the book Autobiography of a Yogi, and by Yogananda, which is a very powerful book. Okay, and Babaji also can materialize as the Divine Mother. I've seen him do that, where he can turn into a female. He's called a Maha-Avatar. Babaji means, well, Shri Babaji means, Shri means holy, reverend, Babaji means sweet father. He used to have knowledge of Shakespeare and everything, and of course he never went to school. And he could speak a lot of different languages. An amazing thing when I met him that was so amazing in the temple, he would say something and people would hear it in their own language. Now, you figure out how that could happen. Everybody would hear what he said in their own language, in their head. So he can direct himself to get older or younger in either direction. There was one time he went to claim the land, the old temple that he had before with a different materialization. And they said, no, you can't possibly have this land. You're too young. So they took him to court. In court, he grew a beard and started aging in front of and they had no more questions. So he got the land back. So his energy is pretty unfathomable, right? And you go into another dimension when you work with Babaji. He says, my love is available. You can take it or not. So he's saying that to you right now. Why not? We need all the help we can get. Some people have visions of Babaji. We had one guy here who had a real strong vision and saw Babaji in his rebirthing. If you see him in your rebirthing or in meditation, he really came. You can't make it up. He's not really a true Indian. He has no race, and he could be anything. Okay, now he's not constructed the same as we are. People say they would pick him up and he had no weight. Other people said they picked him up and he was too heavy. So he's not belonging to any particular religion. But he's saying, these are his teachings. Wake up, be alert, get into action. He likes action. He says lazy people are dead people. And he's here to guide us through these tragic, chaotic times, which is called the Kranti. In 1970s, he said, the Kranti is coming. We said, what's the Kranti? He said, global revolution. And I knew it started when the pandemic hit. I said, Marcus, the Kranti is coming now. So it's really important in these chaotic times to be linked up to him, and he'll help you feel safe. He wants you to seek harmony and work together in unity and love. Keep only good thoughts in your head, okay? Keep only good thoughts in your head. And he said, courage is the most important thing. You want to be firm like a rock and deep like the sea. We should set an example to everyone of tolerance and forgiveness. And we should be lively, enthusiastic, and active, happy, peaceful, and inspiring. He said, don't lag behind. Always go forward. And one time I was in the Duni, which is a sacred fire temple where they have fire going all the time in Harakan. And this yogi was with me and I gave him a session, a rebirthing session. Suddenly he sat up and he stared at me and he started saying, advance 4 times. And he just freaked out because he didn't know what happened to him. And his eyes turned into Babaji. And later he told me, he said, Babaji took over his body. I said, well, obviously he wants me to advance. Always advance, always go forward. Okay. Get beyond satisfaction and dissatisfaction. And one of the great things he told me as a public figure, be not concerned with praise or abuse. Move on. So that's been very helpful for me. Don't worry about getting praised. Don't worry about getting abused. Just march on. He always said you should keep the company of saintly people. It's easy to have wealth. Prostitutes and sinners can have that. But the company of saintly people is a rare thing. This is why we love to go to Harakan in the spring, because the yogis and the saints are there. And these saintly people, they force you to adapt upward. That's why you want to hang out with the highest people you can hang out with. Be careful not to hang out with people who are negative and low energy, because they try to bring you down. So be in the company of great saints. It's called the principle of right association. Be very careful who you are associating with. Okay, so make your life a success and awaken the people. Let's see what else here. Oh, yeah. You have to be strong. If you're weak, how are you going to live? And you should be able to generate energy. So that's the more you get rebirth, the more energy you're going to get. One of his main teachings is work is worship. Idleness is death. So he said you should work, and that's karma yoga, serving humanity. If you look at your work as worship, it's going to change your whole attitude about going to work. So some people say, oh, I don't want to go to work. It's a drag. No, you're worshiping God and you're serving the people at your job. So it's worship. And he gave us a very clear formula for happiness: love, truth, simplicity, and service to mankind. So you want to be of service to everyone that you meet. How can I serve you? You can have projects to serve mankind, but you want to be of service to everybody. As your highest duty. The result of hard work and service is happiness. And the only way you're going to get over your karma is by doing the work. Let's see. Yeah, without karma yoga, which is service, you cannot progress. And it's beneficial to your health and your spiritual perfection. All right, what did you say? That's about it. Your aim in life should always be to active and to serve. No doubts. Okay, so let's lie down and breathe. And the mantras what we play are chants to Babaji and the Divine Mother. Okay, and when Babaji took conscious departure, the last thing he said is, I leave everything in the hands of the Divine Mother. So I think next week I will talk more about the Divine Mother, because we don't have time to do both today. But Babaji was always worshiping the Divine Mother, and some of you said you want that. So Babaji will lead you to that. Babaji led me to the Divine Mother. I had no feminine aspect in my religion at all. We didn't have the Virgin Mary in my church. There was no goddess energy. It was totally patriarchal. So I didn't even know what the Divine Mother was. When he said that, I thought, what's that? And over the next 10 years, he showed me many miracles from the Divine Mother, which I'll talk about next week. But yeah, so when you're working with Babaji, you're also working with the Divine Mother together, because the Divine Mother was like his guru. And that's how he became so great, by the way, is he totally surrendered to the Divine Mother all the time. All right, you guys, thanks for showing up today.
Okay, I'm going to add a little bit to that. There's a really good book that you can get at the ashrams. You can't get it online, but if you go to the ashrams in your area, they might be selling it. It's very cheap, and it's just called Babaji. It's just a little booklet, it's almost like a pamphlet, and it's the clearest explanation of Babaji that I've come across, or Sandra and I have come across. A couple devotees from Holland made it up. And I would try to get this book. And it's got some really wonderful photographs of Babaji inside. Very beautiful photographs. It's very well done. Yeah. So see if you can get this book. You can write the ashram closest to you and ask them if they have it. It's just simply called Babaji, His Message to Humanity and Pointers for Your Life. So some of you wanted your intention to be faith today. And there's actually a little section on faith in this booklet. And I thought I'd read that. Number 11, faith. To devotees, I give Abayadan. To devotees, I give Abayadan, the blessing of my protection, by which you will always be protected and should be fearless. I am responsible for you and your liberation. So that's a real significant line. I'm responsible for you and your liberation. It's like when you go to Babaji and you ask for him to be your guide or your teacher or your spiritual master, you're like saying, okay, I'm surrendering this life to my highest spiritual evolution, and I'm at your feet. And then he's responsible for your liberation. And then that's where the faith comes in. The faith comes in that you trust that his protection, his guidance, his directions will lead you through all your troubles to the promised land, so to speak. Your faith must be as mighty as Mount Meru. Even the sun and moon can move from their course, but the faith of a devotee should not be shaken. A true devotee will be ready to shed his life for God and will have faith to his last breath. Never be moved by false doctrines. You are protected at every moment. And here are some faith pointers. If you are worthy, I shall show you a freedom greater than the one you have dreamed about. All of you must be happy and healthy and appreciate the joy of life. If you come to doubt, I will give you reason to doubt. If you come suspicious, I will give you reason to be suspicious. But if you come seeking love, I will show you more love than you have ever known. Only the one who has surrendered completely to the will of God is saved. All of you have to go beyond the fear of death and hope of life and go on doing your karma yoga. Have faith. Everything depends on faith. Yeah, so that's also what he said. Faith is everything. So what is faith? Well, faith is trusting that everything will come out okay, even though you don't know how it's going to come out okay, right? That's faith. It's like when you trust that everything's going to work and you don't know all the hows and the wherefores, that how it's going to work. So when you have faith, you trust. You trust into the future. You trust the unknown. You trust yourself. You trust your abilities. You trust that you're going to do the right thing. And you check in. You check in with your guidance. You don't make decisions by yourself. You ask. You just keep asking, is this the right thing to do? Is this the right thing to do? Do I need to make an adjustment? Do I need to make a change? Is this the right place to go? Is this the right person to be with? Is this the right action to take? Those kind of questions. Those you have to keep asking. And when you're asking those, you're going to be guided. And then the guidance will come, and the guidance will increase your faith. But you have to ask for the guidance. Okay? So you don't want to make decisions by yourself and just assume you know. You want to ask. Ask the Holy Spirit, ask Babaji, ask your spiritual master. Some of you study the Course in Miracles. You can ask Jesus. But in this case, we're talking about Babaji. So in this case, I would ask Babaji. So he said, truth, simplicity, love, and service to humanity is the formula for happiness. And then he said, karma yoga is important, which means work is worship. You should turn your work into worship, and that you're serving a greater good in doing your work. It's work that's benefiting others, no matter what it is you're doing. It doesn't really matter. It's just, if you're an accountant, you're serving others through that channel. If you're a chef or a cook, you're feeding people, you're serving people that way. It doesn't really matter what you're doing. It's the spirit of service that you bring to the work. And in that spirit of service, you're serving humanity. So work is worship. That was another teaching. And then the other and the last thing I'm going to talk about was the mantra, which is what we're doing in this breathing. We're playing mantras. You could also call them bhajans. And then also reciting the mantra, Om Namah Shivaya. I want to read what he has to say about that. The name of God, he would call that. You're reciting the name of God. It is of greatest importance that the repetition of God's name increases daily. In this way, your heart and mind will be purified, and then you will find God in yourself. So the mantra is a purification. When we're doing it in the breathing, that's the mantra. But also, if you're reciting it on a mala, Om Namah Shivaya, some of you have been doing that. They call that japa yoga. That's very purifying of the mind. It's like you're focusing your mind on the name of God, the name of the Creator. And so you're letting go of all the other negative thoughts, all the other superfluous thoughts that are going through your mind, and you're focusing on the name of God, and that's the mantra. Om Namah Shivaya is one. You might have another one from a Christian background. I consider the Course in Miracles lessons mantras. I am as God created me. I am spirit. Yeah, those. Love is the way I walk in gratitude. I consider those mantras. Those are lessons in the Course in Miracles. So those are the name of God, and you're reciting them. And then also we're playing these bhajans, these mantras. So you're breathing into that energy of the mantra. And that's also beneficial of cleansing the mind and cleaning up the mind and letting go of negative thoughts. So reciting the name of God is very important. Listening to the mantras, very important. It helps you to let go and clean up your mind. So Babaji didn't call what he was doing religion. It was called Santana Dharma. And Santana Dharma is just a practice. It's like a way of cleansing yourself, getting yourself closer to divine forces, divine connections. And that process of you waking up, they've traditionally called in India Santana Dharma. The Santana Dharma has been followed for millions of years, and no one is able to trace the date it began. You may try to understand this spontaneous religion this way. The Dharma, the law of nature of fire, is to burn. The Dharma of water is to be wet. The Dharma of air is to blow. Can one tell you what day or the fire started to burn, or the water was wet, or the air started to blow? No one can say. Santana Dharma is like a great ocean. From that ocean, each country has dug canals according to their needs and purposes. But canals cannot give total satisfaction, as the ocean gives complete bliss. Until now, people only had knowledge of their own canals. Now the Lord is showing us that we aren't just bubbles in a canal, but rather bubbles in the great ocean. As long as we have individuality and we are seen as bubbles, when we disappear, we are one with the ocean. So your work must be to elevate humanity and spread this Santana Dharma, this wisdom, eternal wisdom. And that's really our religion, is to purify ourselves with these processes, with mantra breathing, with reciting the mantra, with our own karma yoga, our holy work of service to humanity, being truthful in all of our speech and all of our actions, keeping our life simple, get rid of stuff you don't need, simplify your life, and love everybody and forgive everybody. So it's a pretty straightforward teaching, Babaji's teaching. It would be the same teaching of any spiritual master. So there you have it. And we're going to put the mantra on now. Thanks for joining us. These are Goma mantras. These were devotees of Babaji in the 1990s, and they made these wonderful bhajans. So we're going to put them on now.